And joining me now to discuss this is a global affairs analyst, Calvin Dark. He joins me from Washington, D.C. Via Skype. Good to have you join us, Calvin Dark. When you look at all of the arguments and all of the debates leading up to this moment where we've seen jurors or the jury retiring to deliberate on, all they've had so far, what do you make of all that have played out, whether from the prosecution or the defense?
Well, I think as far as the trial itself goes, I think most Americans who have seen it, and actually everybody around the world, nothing really changed from what we all saw with the video. Prosecution made a very, very good case. I think it's really important to kind of note that they wanted to make this about Derek Chauvin and not against police. And then the defense, they defended him. And I think a lot of it was seen as reaching kind of weak. But what we all have to keep in mind is we aren't the jury. And it's a much different set of circumstances for those 12 people in that courtroom. And no matter what it may look like from the outside, it's what those 12 jurors believe after they've seen this evidence, heard the testimony.
Cause of death is at the very heart of this trial, with the jurors saying that the 90 minutes Derek Chauvin knelt on the neck of George Floyd led to his death. But the defense is looking at the fact that he was abusing drugs while he was alive, and that might have also contributed to his death. But when you listen to the closing statement of the prosecution counsel, he zeroed in on that 9 minutes. How effective do you think that was?
I think it was very effective because no matter, I think the jury, as well as most Americans, most people watching it, would factor in the maybe substances that would have been in George Floyd or his prior heart condition. But the length of time is what made the difference. Because if it had been 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I think people would have given the officer the benefit of the doubt. But when it's 9 minutes, minutes after he wasn't even conscious, where people who were on the street were telling the Derek Chauvin, he's not conscious, stop doing this. I think it lasted so long that even with those other mitigating factors, it went longer than it should have regardless. So I don't think that the defense made a good case that the cause of death is in doubt.
Democratic Representative Maxine Waters is now facing criticism for a statement she made when she said, and I just want to read that, she urged protesters to, quote, get more confrontational if Chauvin is not convicted. And you see the trial judge in this case, really sounding frustrated when he said that her comments might have resulted in the trial to be overturned, which means that the defense counsel might have a ground for appeal, whoever or prosecution counsel might have a ground for appeal. How are people reacting to that statement?
Well, I think there are a couple of things to keep in mind. One is I don't believe that anyone realistically thinks that Congresswoman Waters was calling for violence. I don't think that was it. But we have to remember this is in the context of what happened on January the 6th, when we had a president that did incite violence. And so part of what you're seeing is a little bit of Republicans saying what's good for the goose is good for the gander. How can you say that former President Trump incited violence, but she didn't? The second part is, the judge spoke out about it, but she's also a member of Congress in another state. So whereas how this affected the jury, that remains to be seen. So I think that a lot of people, they want everybody to remain calm. They want this verdict to come to a conclusion. They want people, whatever the outcome is, to do any protesting peacefully. But with all of the heightened tension in this country, it adds to the actual words that Representative Waters said. So we all have to be careful.
What you said, whatever the outcome is, and I'm staying on that phrase, whatever the outcome is, what should change in America?
Well, I believe that George Floyd's murder was a turning point for how we need to make changes in how police are trained, who is a policeman, and how we hold them accountable. And if there was anybody that missed it, the death near Minneapolis of the young man, who was supposedly tased, but then he was shot. That happened right outside where the trial is going on, and that underscored that there's a problem. Now, when it comes to what the verdict can be, let's keep in mind that it's not going to be so much not guilty or guilty. It could be guilty of the most serious charges. It could be guilty of a charge that would basically be the equivalent of an accident where he didn't really intend. So it's more complicated than, like I said, not guilty or guilty. And depending on what that verdict is, that is going to influence what we do as a society moving forward.
Global Affairs analyst Calvin Dack, thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.